cow. Let me get away from all the sounds and head in the direction of my area, I guess. I'm on a little bit of a mission today to during my little grind here, pick up some supplies, some experience points. I have lost my silk touch and I want another one. You know, rant at you guys about things you don't care about, probably. Oh, cat. I swear he knows when I'm recording. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I also have another chest I want to place somewhere of use to me. Probably at that other tower. Now that I know how to make them, it's all good. See, that over there looks promising. But as close as I am, that might stray into Oplex territory, so I probably shouldn't. Anyways, I thought... so far, I've come up with a slew of ideas for this week's grinds that are largely... they're slightly rantish, but more idea-ish. Not entirely unlike my the economics rant from a couple weeks ago. There was, I think it was more positive than negative, but it still had to acknowledge the negative before it could appreciate the positive, maybe? Oh my god. This week is a little bit more random than that, but I am going to... well, no, actually I'm going to start with education, because it's a problem. At least in the United States, it's a problem. And it's getting worse. And I am somewhat a self-victimized, but also slightly victimized. Whoa. I'm going to have to deal with this road in the future, before anybody's going to be willing to come out and visit my areas. Oh, God. But, my educational experience wasn't a particularly good one. And any success I've had has largely been in spite of it, rather than because of it. But that's not to say there aren't pretty big holes for which I am now suffering. And those could have been filled in if I had been more disciplined and ignored my feelings about what was going on and stuff like that. And the thing is, I'm not really sure that's a good idea either. I mean, it's hard to say, because I haven't experienced the alternative. And there are a lot of people... what am I seeing? Oh, there's something up behind it. Okay. I should take some time to go through there. Maybe one of the following grinds can be... oh, for crying out loud, do some hunting up that way. Okay, so... yeah. Let's go in real quick before I get killed and lose it. You know how these things work. I suppose one of these days I should start moving my supplies up here. Oh. Looks like I got more wool ready. I should expand my operations. It took a long time to get the amount of wool I had. Alright, we'll put it here. Unless I can't. We'll put it here. Alright. I don't really have anything else I need, though. I'm not even sure I want this along for the ride. Just this. And, well, actually, this, and don't need this. Or this. I had to bring this along just in case I need something. It's too bad you can only have one nether or ender chest and only one wide. Alright, well, back to it. I'll be quartzing for the most part. Alright. So, what am I getting at? Oh, wrong way. I have found out that if I go that way, it's not that far to Caffeine's more established nether hut. So I ought to consider making a road in that direction someday soon. But I ought to... There... Yeah. Sorry, I'm slightly distracted. Okay, so... First, this will be a two-parter. In the first part, I'm just going to complain about my educational experience, because this is my gaming log. I don't know. Game... enhanced... gaming blog. Whatever the case. Shut up, me. Oh, God. I think I was slightly hampered. First, and this is not an accusation, but it's because everybody meant well, and things did turn out mostly okay, so it's not really an accusation, but I was talked up when I was a kid. I was told how talented I was, and how smart I was, and how gifted, you know, was word. I was in the schools gifted and talented. There was apparently an attempt made by someone outside the family, so it was encouraged. And, you know, I can't tell you there wasn't a little bit to it, but it was externally encouraged as well that I go to some private school for the gifted, like in Massachusetts. I lived in Maine, so that's a long haul, and I wouldn't get to see people very much and stuff like that, so it obviously didn't end up happening, but it was like, you know, back then in dollars that are worth twice as much as they are today, it was like $17,000 a year to attend, and my parents had no money. Though the person who was encouraging them to do it anyways was saying there is a single scholarship devoted to a Maine student per year, and this person who would try to work their magic that I got it. I mean, that's interesting stuff. I didn't even know about that until recently, which is just as well. But that didn't stop people from telling me I was really smart and gifted. Anyways, and this sunk in a little bit, and that might have been a problem because I don't then think I took my progression as seriously. I mean, the classes I were in were too easy for me, so there might have been something to it, except they weren't easy enough. There were a couple people I've met over time who were really smart and who could just breeze through anything without any effort. And then there were other people who were dedicated, and they weren't, you know, they were still smart, but they weren't as smart as me or these other people. But they took it seriously, and they did the work, and they got excellent grades, better than mine. Whereas me, because I was bored out of my head, I realize people can be bored even if they're not smart, but bored out of my head, the topic was, it couldn't engage me because it was, you know, my brain was elsewhere. It wanted to do more interesting things like particle physics and game design and all these things that were interesting and challenging, unlike, you know, whatever was going on in the class, which was most classes. So because I didn't put the work into it, I didn't get very good grades. Because I didn't get, you know, I'm probably averaging, you know, middle B's for the most part. When if I had applied myself at all, I could have been 4.0 everywhere I went all the time if I really wanted. But I didn't want to because I didn't care, because I was bored and felt like I was supposed to be doing something better. And I think that sort of messed me up. Oh, hello. I think that messed me up a little bit, and I'm suffering for it now. And it's you know, at this point, I'm feeling like I'm going to have to go back to school or something, because there are holes in my abilities because of all this that are holding me back. Of course, I don't know where to find the time or the money to do that. That's kind of the problem. Regardless, I feel like I should. Granted, the people I work for have been saying they'd help pay for classes for years, you know, as a perk. And I've never taken them up on it because I feel like what happens if that happens, and that enables me to go on to do something way more, you know, I don't know, high paying or interesting or whatever you want to, however you want to put it. I couldn't conscience doing that, because one thing I do have is, well, a conscience. I'm a self-regulating kind of guy. I do things according to what feels right. And oftentimes that means restricting myself. And largely, I would argue that's what people are supposed to do. They need to balance those two things. They need to do what they need to do for themselves, but not to the extent of hurting others. And unfortunately, we're in a world where people have no problem hurting others as long as they personally profit from it. I mean, that's essentially the definition of sociopath, and I'm not willing to do that, even if it sets me back, limits my opportunities. I'd rather feel good about myself than be swimming in, luxuries that aren't necessary. But yeah, so high school I bead my way through without much effort. I didn't have to work hard for that. It's just if I had worked even a little bit harder, I probably would have had excellent grades and had freebie scholarships to almost anywhere I wanted to go. I did get some pretty nifty scholarships because it was a small school, to be honest. There were larger schools out there that offered a lot more, but we have in the States here what we call AP, or Advanced Placement courses. And my tiny little school could only offer 4 of them, and I don't remember what they all were. I know English was one, but I took all 4, or maybe it was all 3. I think it was all 3. Wow, my memory. And I got 4s, which is not 5 is the highest score. So even there, I didn't completely apply myself, but I got excellent grades on all 4, enough to essentially get me 12 college credits right off without having ever been to college. So that shaved a semester off, which is kind of too bad because I then went later on to stay way too long and cost myself way too much for not having finished. And that, I'll finish up with that. But ooh, I hope I'm not lost. Is that a building? I see a building. Okay. I should be paying better attention to where I am. Oh. Whoa! Oh my god. That would have been horrible if that had been any worse than that, and I should eat. Oh my god. So, yeah. In that end, I got, again, not perfect, but high SAT scores. For all that people... Oh, come on, really? For all that people have been saying I'm smart, there are days when I don't feel like it, because I think what I excel at is creativity, and that requires an intelligence as well. But if you put me on the spot with stuff, I'm not as good, and I actually need time to think about problems, and my solutions essentially pretty much always work, and oftentimes are even novel. So I'll give myself that much. But there are people who are much more quick-witted than I am, and for many, that's probably what they would think smart is. And it is I would even say the same. And sometimes I feel like, oh crap, I suck that I can't do that. No, I actually have to stop and I actually have to think. And it might even take me a while. But when I do, whatever I come up with works, and is often stuff... let's just say, if I had, Elon Musk's resources, I'd probably be doing pretty well for myself too right now, just because, granted, he did the work to get his resources, so I can't complain. But, come on. Die! I have a weapon. Boink. Stay out of the way! Boink. But in terms of at least services and sites and apps and stuff, the sort of thing I do for a day job, I have had ideas years, maybe 5 years before I ever saw them actually come to light under somebody else's power elsewhere. Oftentimes not that great a deal, but I'm an idea person. That's where I excel. Whoa. Anyways, not to butter myself up, but because the idea is sort of to relate the extent to which I did not succeed in my education. Before I go on to suggest what I think a better education system would be, and certainly one that would have helped me, and that will be tomorrow's part. But yeah, you know, I took all those courses. I did really well, and you know, not perfectly, but I did well, and I did way more work and effort into those than the vast majority of people in my school. There were like maybe half a dozen other students who took all the AP courses, and actually, amongst all of them, only one did better than me, and he... Whoa! Hello. Get me out of that hole. He took all 3 or 4 AP courses and only got one... He got all 4s except for 1 5, so he beat me by 1 point, however you measure that system. And then on the SATs, again, I didn't do perfectly, but I did well above average. Oh man, I was hoping that was going to hit. And he, again, beat me but by 20 points out of, you know, literally thousands. So, again, you know, I did all right. I shouldn't complain too much, but... You know, and these were enough to get the attention of some schools. I applied to 4, and I can't remember what the 4th one was. Ooh, can I go through there? No, it's the end. Okay. And NYU was one of them. Savannah College of Art and Design, because I had, you know, game design interests and had already demonstrated some aptitude for artwork, which I did not stick with. Again, as I'm trying to indicate, sometimes buttering yourself up or being buttered up can actually rob you of your ability. To a certain extent, you have to be perpetually slightly insecure about it so that you'll... just to the point where you want to improve and you actually do the work, but not to the point where you feel like you're crushed and you don't... Why bother? Because I was to the point on the opposite end where I felt like I was too good for everything and I wasn't putting any effort into anything, and I was sliding by on talent alone, which is... and not on actual hard work. Whoa, look at that. That was awesome. Of course... Ooh. Of course, no heads. I have never in my life had a head drop. Or skull, sorry. Oh my. So, NYU offered a grant, $13,000 a year. I would have had to have worked to maintain it. And given my propensity for not working entirely hard, that might not have even worked out. But University of Maine, where I ended up going, it actually has a pretty robust and respectable computer science degree. Actually, despite being a state university and stuff like that, instead of, you know, an Ivy League or something like that. I ended up going with them because, again, my parents didn't have any money, and I felt responsible to not consume resources that were not available. And at what should have been a telling sign was the fact that they did not offer me... Well, no, that's not true. I got a Pell Grant, which might not even have come from them, but you're talking $500 to cover a $12,000 a year school. But it was, amongst all of them, the least expensive, and that's what ended up making me choose, because buttered up as I might have been, I also have a strong sense of responsibility, and it was according to that I went to the least expensive school I could. Which is unfortunate, because NYU probably would have been more challenging, which probably would have got me in gear and actually doing things correctly. But at $28,000 a year, that $13,000 they offered wasn't going to add up to enough. I mean, even after that, they would have cost more out of pocket than all of UMaine without any assistance at all. So that was a big part of it right there. The College of Art and Design, it may be just as well I didn't go there, because I think I'm probably better served right now being more technical than artistic, and there's nothing to prevent me from trying to pursue artisticness in the future. I think it might be too late for me, as caffeine is, as an artist, is insistent is not true. Come on, come on. Oh. But I will never be as good as she is at that, because that's what she dedicates herself to. And I have put in a decade and a half of programming and app development, so I might as well stick with it and use it for the powers of good. You know what I mean? Solve world problems. I actually have several projects that I think might help solve world problems using the Goram internet. Woo! Woo! Come on. Yeah, okay. Whoa! Ooh, I should get some of that. You know, this is mildly ill-advised. Yeah, so... And then, you know, college was horrible. I'm not a socialized, you know, social butterfly sort of person. I did not care to party. I did not join any sports. I did not join... Whoa. None of that interested me. Come on. Okay, this is not a situation worth sticking around for. Though, like I said, I did want some of this. I can't even see where those are going. I can at least eliminate the danger. Come on. Gotcha. 35. Oh, I see. There's a... You know, I got those at home. I don't need them. Oh, wrong way. College... It was about money. That was their entire priority in existence, was making money off of me. And they showed it greatly. I mean, the fact that they weren't offering me any rewards for the good grades, you know, the modestly good grades and extra effort I put into AP courses and all that stuff. They didn't offer anything for that, which should have been a telltale sign that these guys were all about the money and not as interested in their students, except how they could make money off of them. Sorry, concentration face. Ooh. I will never get a skull, I swear. Oh, hey, there's my house. Very cool. I should probably keep the ghasts away from it. I don't think it's gas-proof at this point. Gotcha. Alright, so... I should conclude. I should conclude for your sake. Basically... I don't know. They screwed me over for money every year. Every year they lied to me about the actual cost. The first year we were just taken by surprise. But apparently they lied then too. Otherwise it wouldn't have started that way. But we were told $10,000. All these things that you wanted, the housing, the food. Oh, I was hoping I would hit. All of this stuff will add up to roughly $10,000. So that's what we got. We got loans, you know, subsidized, federally backed loans to cover that, as one would expect to do. And you know, federally backed loans are much friendlier in terms. Well, you get to school, and then their bill comes, and it's $12,000, and you have to, and all the money that you have because you didn't have any, which I think is what they were punishing me for, not being rich. Oh man. I'd better go down. Ooh, okay. All of that. Well, basically, all the money went into their account directly through these loans. So I didn't have any of it, which meant things like food and books for the actual courses I need to take were kind of hard. Holy crap, were kind of hard to come by. Oh my gosh. Could I be any worse at this? There good at dodging. Unless they're not. Oh. I actually have a backlog of gas tiers now, so I don't really need them anymore, but still. I do need this. Anyways. It was a real problem. I had to audit one course after another. Audit meaning change the status so that it did not count for credit and I didn't have to take any tests or anything. All I had to do was attend or not attend. And usually I was so stressed out that if I was auditing a course, I didn't even attend. Okay? So, but when you can't get your books, you know, most of the time you think, oh, wow, you know, what kind of course is this? I paid all this money for a book and we never opened it. Well, somehow these all opened their books. And I was screwed more often than not by the fact I couldn't follow along on what was going on. Because I couldn't afford the books because I was scrambling, you know, losing my mind, scrambling around, trying to find somewhere to get an extra $2,000 to make up the deficit that they didn't tell us about. Oh, man, that was close. God, they are good at turning, aren't they? There you go. Oi. Yes, I have come on! I have an infinity bow. Oh! Oh, not full power. Oh, come on! Gotcha. Can I have a break, please? I'm going to put all these fires out with my carrots. Some nice roast carrots out of it. Right. So yeah, I had to spend a couple extra years at that place trying to retake courses and retake courses and retake courses because they did this to me every year. After the first year, we went into their office and we said, "Are you sure? Let's go down to every individual cent of what this next year is going to cost." And they'll swear up and down, this is what it's going to cost, and this is what it's going to cost, and this is what it's going to cost. Every single time it came out to a couple of $1,000s more expensive than they promised it would. Every single time. And, you know, later on, I didn't suffer from it quite so much because I was working already in the career that I'm in now. I was already working full-time, which is one of the reasons why I didn't have much time left to devote to courses. Especially when the idea was to get into that field anyways, and I was already in it. I felt like, what am I even doing this for anymore? And I did, yes, eventually leave, and that was stupid. But then again, the smart thing would have been to not leave, but to go somewhere else, because these guys had proven their corruption, I think, and I'm paying for it. I've paid off all those loans. I'm debt free. I'm making a pretty decent amount of money doing this stuff, but I would like to be using this sort of stuff for more intelligent things, like figuring out how stars work. I've done an equation, or not an equation. I've done a this was going to be a long grind. I'm sorry, but tomorrow I wanted to get into the other part of the educational part, and I need to wrap up first. So anyways, plus I have all these levels to get. Come on. Ooh, look at them all. So, let's see. Think. Yeah, I'm smart. I can think. Really. I lost my place. I'll just review the video and then come back. No, I won't. So, yeah, they put me through the financial ringer, and that's part of what I'm going to get into tomorrow. Is let's reorganize education in a way that makes it less money centric, but also how it deals with actual students, because I should have been dealt with differently than I was, and having to be put through the same, during high school, having to be put through things at the same time as other kids of the same manufacturing date as myself, but not the same skill level as myself. I was bored out of my head, and I couldn't be bothered to keep up with it, and that set me up for a bad run that I didn't deserve to be put through. And part of it's my fault, but not all of it. So yeah, I guess I've exhausted that a little bit. Oh, the star thing. I'm sorry. For a game I intend to eventually make with the acronym TGS, I wanted to come up with an algorithm, an efficient algorithm that could take the initial mass of any star, which is an extremely important guiding feature to how that star will live and behave. Pretty much the overriding feature. How heavy was it when it began? Then spit out an accurate representation at any given age. Like you say, you give mass and how long ago that star was born, and you could know how big it is, how hot it is, what color it is, how active, its cycles, stuff like that. And I started writing a Python program that would simulate this, and not like visually, but just in numbers. Like you feed in two numbers, and you get out a set of characteristics. And that got me into studying the Herschel's diagram. Sorry, I don't remember the exact name. But what I discovered was we don't know. All we know is that we have observed that stars of certain masses have certain characteristics, and so we have this diagram that follows this stellar behavior around, so that you can, if you want to know, you can put the star you're observing on this diagram to know certain details about it. But why it's that way is as yet still beyond us. Just like right now, gravity is still beyond us. We know we know it exists. We know roughly how to measure things by it because it has been predictable in its characteristics. But the why and the where and the from where and stuff like that's still above our heads a little bit right now. But anyways, with the star thing, what was interesting was writing a program to try to express that actually made it sort of obvious how much exactly like a program is to one of those physics equations that you'll see, up on a blackboard. Those physics equations are essentially programs. It's just a mathematical language to express them. That's what it is. And I felt like, wow, okay. There are a couple of pieces missing to this program to make it work exactly right and to be completely predictive. But it's not enough. But I feel like what we need to know is right there. It's just right around the corner. There's one or two models we have to work on that simulate what the molecules, what the hydrogen and the helium and the lithium and stuff under all that pressure are going at varying degrees of temperature and pressure. We should be able to model individual molecules and atoms to see what it is they're going through. And once you do that, you should be able to then extrapolate outward en masse. Ooh, don't get me killed. To then derive an actual equation that accurately describes the behavior of a star based on those initial pieces of information. So that's really fascinating to me, and that's the sort of thing I'd really like to be using these programming skills for, right? Instead of making websites and stuff like that. But as far as I'm concerned, it's probably too late. If I don't just do it in my own physics garage, it won't happen because I would have a hell of a time convincing enemy that I had the skill and talent to actually pick it up and do it. Oh, come on. So yeah, it has that combination of kind of increasingly crap educational system and me being buttered up and becoming kind of lazy because of it hasn't served me well. And while I'm doing okay and no one needs to worry about my ability to survive, I personally wish something better had happened. So, oh my god. The tower at the end of this, I also want to improve upon. Hello, Scary Road, especially while Ghast's around. All right, thanks for watching and enduring my complaints. I will come again tomorrow to get into how I think probably education should be. that might resolve some of these issues and have much better results than we have now. But until then, please have a good night, and I don't know, stay safe, I guess. Thank you.